Today, I reflect on a pivotal moment in human history, a moment that encompasses both profound sorrow and unimaginable joy. It is the story of Jesus Christ, a man who, despite preaching a message of love, was betrayed, tried, and ultimately crucified. However, his death was not in vain, for he triumphantly rose from the dead and ascended into heaven, offering hope and redemption to all. In the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 26, verses 47 to 50, we find the account of Jesus' betrayal. While he was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12, arrived. With him was a large crowd armed with swords and clubs, sent from the chief priests and the elders of the people. Now the betrayer had arranged a signal with them: "The one I kiss is the man, arrest him." Going at once to Jesus, Judas said, "Greetings, Rabbi," and kissed him. Jesus replied, "Do what you came for, friend." Then the men stepped forward, seized Jesus and arrested him. Imagine the heart-wrenching scene as Jesus, who had spent his ministry demonstrating love, compassion, and selflessness, was betrayed by one of his own disciples. This act of betrayal set in motion a chain of events that would lead to Jesus' trial and ultimately his crucifixion. In the Gospel of Mark, chapter 15, verses 15 to 20, we read about the crucifixion of Jesus. Wanting to satisfy the crowd, Pilate released Barabbas to them. He had Jesus flogged and handed him over to be crucified. The soldiers led Jesus away into the palace, that is, the praetorium, and called together the whole company of soldiers. They put a purple robe on him, then twisted together a crown of thorns and set it on him. And they began to call out to him, "Hail, King of the Jews!" Again and again, they struck him on the head with a staff and spit on him. Falling on their knees, they paid homage to him. And when they had mocked him, they took off the purple robe and put his own clothes on him. Then they led him out to crucify him. The crucifixion of Jesus was a brutal and agonizing ordeal. He endured physical pain, humiliation, and mockery. The one who had healed the sick, preached messages of love and forgiveness, and performed miracles was now suffering on a cross, seemingly defeated. Yet, as we delve deeper into this narrative, we discover that Jesus' death was not the end of the story. In the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 28, verses 5 to 7, we find the astonishing news of his resurrection. The angel said to the women, "Do not be afraid, for I know that you are looking for Jesus, who was crucified. He is not here, he has risen, just as he said. Come and see the place where he lay. Then go quickly and tell his disciples, he has risen from the dead and is going ahead of you into Galilee. There you will see him. Now I have told you." The resurrection of Jesus transformed everything. It shattered the chains of death, validated his divine identity, and proclaimed the victory of love over sin and darkness. Jesus' resurrection offers us the assurance that death does not have the final word, and that through faith in him, we too can experience eternal life. Following his resurrection, Jesus appeared to his disciples, teaching and guiding them before ascending into heaven. In the Gospel of Luke, chapter 24, verses 50 to 51, we read, "When he had led them out to the vicinity of Bethany, he lifted up his hands and blessed them. While he was blessing them, he left them and was taken up into heaven." The ascension of Jesus marked the completion of his earthly ministry, as he returned to the heavenly realm, seated at the right hand of God the Father. The death and resurrection of Jesus serve as the cornerstone of the Christian faith. They represent the ultimate sacrifice and triumph over sin and death. Jesus willingly endured the cross, bearing the weight of our transgressions, so that we may find forgiveness, reconciliation, and eternal life through him. Today, as we reflect on the profound significance of Jesus' death and resurrection, let us remember that his sacrifice was not in vain. It was an act of immeasurable love, extending an invitation for us to experience the fullness of God's grace and redemption. May we find hope in the resurrection, strength in the victory of Christ, and the assurance that through him, we can find forgiveness, healing, and eternal life.